Hey, this is Johnny Damon, your favorite caveman from the 2004 World Champion Boston Red Sox. You're listening to Boston's Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Boston's Big Three, episode 79, presented by Ride the Wave Media, sponsored by bostonsbig3.com/shop. Head over to bostonsbig3.com/shop to support anybody from Boston's Big Three. As you can see right now on the screen, if you're watching at home, the Cam Newton, who might have one game left on the Patriots, but Cam Newton phone case, we have hoodies, t-shirts. Chris Matthews, Joe Stafford, they have their own line of merch as well too. They have a shirt for every single quarterback out there. Tyler Miller's putting some stuff out there. Watabe's got some stuff out there. We even have some gamers. We have a gaming thing going on. Things go above my head sometimes. Things just
I didn't know about this either.
Yeah, we have a mic with a mic. We have like a whole Twitch thing. We're trying to get into the Twitch scene.
Sweet.
So
Yeah, then we'll be able to live stream these. Have people tune into the show live. Fun.
I know. That's all above my head. I don't even know how to do anything tech savvy. We're still on Skype over here. Everyone does Zoom. I just know Skype. But today's episode is just myself, the Spike King, a.k.a. Babs, a.k.a. Daddy Babs. The Spike twins right now are sleeping in the other room, so I might keep it a little bit down today. You know, Brendan, don't get my blood boiling today. I can't be yelling. I can't be screaming because
I think it is in my job description though, so I may not be able to stop.
It's just myself and Watabe today. Tyler Miller taking the weekend off. He's got to focus on Penn State football since they lost last week. It's over. There's national title hopes are done for. And Joe Stafford taking the day off. He has
Halloween weekend. All I know is that my college football team has not lost a game. Tyler Miller's has lost one or two, I'm pretty sure. So that tells you everything you need to know.
If you guys scroll back to episode 50, we had Pat Fryermuth, tight end from Penn State, on the show. And I said I'm actively rooting for Penn State. I'm not rooting for Penn State. I'm rooting for Pat Fryermuth only. He had a touchdown last game. He's going to the NFL draft. I want him to go in the first round. He's like my last glimpse of hope that our company will go anywhere. We need an athlete to tag along. He still follows me, by the way. I mean, all the stuff I post, negativity, whether it's the Patriots, whether it's Tom Brady, he's still there. He's still supporting Spike Kings. That's a big deal for me. Brendan, baseball's over. They made it. You know what?
It was a tough week. Baseball is over.
Let me tell you something. I apologize because when we were back on here a couple months ago, I said July was going to be a black time for sport, and they made it through. They made it through the COVID cases that they did. A little hiccup. But they end up having the World Series. Now, another hiccup because little post-game during the game, actually, they found out one of the players on the Dodgers tested positive. Spoiler alert, if you haven't figured it out yet, the Dodgers won the World Series. Mookie Betts is a World Series champ yet again. And also some controversy, too, with the Tampa Bay Rays. Brendan Watabe from MLB Hot Corner, this is your time to shine. Talk us about the entire World Series. What's your feeling about L.A., winning it? It's been a long time since the Dodgers have won a World Series. Mookie Betts as well too. Just tell everybody at home how you're feeling about all this.
It is a very weird feeling considering you don't want to see another team win. If you're a fan of the Red Sox, you don't want to turn on the World Series and see another team there that's not the Red Sox. But it was a very unique situation this year because Mookie Betts was playing for the Dodgers. He wasn't playing for the Red Sox this year. He found his way back to the postseason with them, and somehow our management traded the best player of a generation for a few guys we don't really know if they're going to turn into anything yet. But it was a very weird scenario, looking just like watching the World Series and watching this player that we've all grown to love over the last 5-6 years in Boston, this homegrown talent who won a World Series, an MVP, literally everything you could win in a season. In 2018, Mookie Betts did that with the Red Sox. So seeing him win it with the Dodgers was a little bittersweet, a little. he's not one of those guys you can actively root against. If someone is rooting against Mookie Betts, there's something internal and inside of them that there's something wrong with them. Like Mookie Betts is a great human being, great player. He's like the model ball player for what everyone should look to be, especially all the kids that are watching nowadays, seeing Mookie Betts doing what he is able to accomplish, especially in the Dodgers now. But Mookie Betts, 2-time World Series champion. You got to be happy for the guy. You don't necessarily want to see the Dodgers win every single World Series. You don't necessarily want to see Mookie Betts win every single one, because that would be really bad. Considering the trade for Mookie Betts was literally 100 days or 100 years and 3 days from the Babe Ruth trade, was kind of eye-opening, considering how good both of those guys are at baseball and what could eventually happen in Boston if management doesn't turn this thing around. It could be dark days in the Red Sox fandom and Red Sox Nation, especially if these guys that we traded Mookie Betts for don't turn into anything.
I can't see the Red Sox going on like another 86-year drought.
No. They will win again in our lifetime. So
could they go on a decade drought? Absolutely.
It is
the New York
possible,
Yankees.
yeah.
I mean, look at them.
Right.
I mean, it's been a while since they've won anything, but I think the Red Sox will ultimately still be competing every so often. There will be down years like you just had. And I want to say something about Mookie Betts too. It's that it's putting a lot of pressure now on the organization, because the fan base now is going to be like, what the fuck? You just traded our best player away. And it's a business.
And you got to watch him ball out in the World Series.
Got to watch him ball out.
Postseason, really.
And he hit a 2-run shot in that game. I'm pretty sure the game clinching game.
Get the solo shot.
His solo shot, my bad. But I mean, still hitting a home run. Yep. Like, it's just, now it puts a lot of pressure on the Red Sox. And especially in Boston sports, the winning culture over the last 20 years, it's like, and the Red Sox have been there, done it, but it's
the only team with 4 titles in the last 20 years.
And we're going to end up seeing what Bloom's going to do. We're going to get in that in a second, but let's go back to the World Series game. Snell, lights out, pitch in, lights out.
You said you didn't want to get your blood boiling. That decision got my blood boiling. I've got one of my roommates was watching that game with me, and I could not believe that decision. The decision we're talking about, Kevin Cash, the Tampa Bay Rays manager, coming out of the dugout, walking out to the mound, signaling to his bullpen that you're coming in to I think Pete Fairbanks or someone came in, or Tim Anderson, something like that. But Needless to say, it was a terrible decision. Blake Snell is going six innings, I think 6 2/3 or 5 2/3. It was something in 2/3.
6 1/3.
6 1/3, exactly. He's got no runs, no earned runs. He just allowed a bloop hit to the outfield. He has thrown an absolute gem. I think he was only at 70-something pitches. It was ridiculous. And Kevin Cash came out and took out the best pitcher, probably of that series. And the best performance of that series by far, and pulled him in the 6th inning of that game. And it was a mind-boggling decision, because Tampa Bay is one of those teams that they're all in on the analytics. They are all in on the numbers. The numbers are going to win us baseball games. But that decision single-handedly lost them the series. If you look back at that game, and you could look at Twitter, you could look at all the timestamps, all the Rays fans, like, they were done. They had given up on the team at that point. They always have like a little bit of hope, but that was all false hope. The Dodgers were basically handed that World Series, the game, not the series, because it was a hard-fought series. But that game 6, they were handed that game with a bow. Kevin Cash felt like he had money on the Dodgers that game. He threw that game, pulling Blake Snell out. Blake Snell probably could have gone 8 innings and maybe allowed 1 run along the way. But that was the wrong decision. The Dodgers immediately scored 2 runs as soon as the reliever came in. It was not a good look for analytics or baseball as a whole. You got to leave if the pitcher's dealing, you got to have a feel for the game. You can't just pull a guy just because the numbers say, oh, I should pull this guy. And the part of the lineup he was facing, the hit Blake Snell allowed was to the number 9 hitter, so the bottom of the lineup. The 3 guys coming up were combined 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts, and they pulled him.
So your analytics, which is the analytics, comes in and says it's your 3rd time around. This means these guys are most likely going to hit off of you, but that's what the analytics, and they did, off the reliever, not him. not Snell. And it's like that's where analytics can get you so far. And it got the Tampa Bay and however they run their organization, that's how it gets you so far. But this is why you're a manager and not an iPad. This is where you have to make a gut decision. Say, let's back off and let's see what he does for the next batter. Let's see he does the batter after that.
So they could have had Mookie Betts facing Blake Snell 9 times that game. He gets a hit once. You leave him in to handle that top of the lineup. I don't. It was a terrible decision, but. The Dodgers ended up winning, scoring the 2 deciding runs. The only run the Rays scored that game was off rookie phenomenon. Should be a household name at this point. Randy Arozarena. What a postseason. He set probably 5, 6, 7, maybe a dozen records this postseason. The most notable of all of them, hitting 10 home runs in a single postseason. Unbelievable stuff from Randy Arozarena, and seeing that anyone that would trade some guy like that. The Rays had their eyes on him for a long time, but finally got him, and he was able to show out this series.
Where does Tampa Bay Rays go from here? Do you think it's a one-and-done appearance for them, or do you think that they have the ability to go back?
I do think this is a one-and-done appearance for the Tampa Bay Rays. It is an interesting situation because they have a very low payroll. I would recommend watching the movie Moneyball. This team is very comparable to that. They've got a bunch of homegrown talent and a bunch of guys that they can sign in free agency that just kind of come in, do their jobs. They're not going to like make ESPN every night, but they're going to come in, like put their hard hats on and just give you average numbers. But that's the kind of thing that they were looking for down there. And that's going to be the culture in Boston soon, because the guy that put this Tampa Bay Rays team together is now the president of baseball ops in Boston. This is Chaim Bloom's team that made the World Series down there in Tampa. So it is a great, acknowledging who built that team, who put it together, and seeing that he is in charge of the Boston Red Sox now. I would feel good as a Red Sox fan going forward.
Now the LA Dodgers finally got over their hump. How many years has it been? It's been over
32 years.
Yeah,
32.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, 32. So they got over the hump. They finally win another World Series. Is LA the place to be now? Is LA now going to kind of flip this?
It is, but they did have the highest payroll in baseball versus like the 5th lowest. So they're not going to have a ton of money to spend. This is going to be a team that can either stick together for a very long time if they get the right contracts to the right players. But when you hand out a contract like Mookie Betts, that can be a problem going forward, especially when you have another MVP in the outfield in Cody Bellinger up there. That's going to demand probably equal money to what Mookie Betts is getting.
And we talk about this multiple times, and we still will. Markets, playing in certain markets, and the LA market is the place to be. And I think with the pandemic, it does hurt them a little bit in terms of appearances, guest spots, all the stuff that they could be able to do to make more money off their name brand. If I'm a player, I might want to go. If you see the team forming, I might want to sign there for a little minimal contract. I might want to join and hop on that team because LA is the place to be. Especially if you can get the ball rolling there. If they can win another World Series in the next 2 years, I mean, I'm not saying
I would expect them to. They have a great team, and they just needed it was frustrating because you look at what the Dodgers have done the last 4 or 5 years. They've always been that team that's right there but can't get over the hump. And it is a little heartbreaking seeing that the guy to get them over the hump, it is Mookie Betts. He was the missing piece in LA. But congratulations to the Dodgers. They had a great run, fake season, but they are the champions. That LA is the city of champions right now. It'll never be Titletown, but it is the city of champions right now.
I mean, it's been 630 plus days for Boston since they've won a championship, which was Super Bowl 53.
We're still measuring in days. That's all that counts.
2 championships in 16 days for LA. Lakers and Dodgers.
It's tough. It is tough, but Titletown will always be, and like there's a culture here. There's been a culture in LA where they've been trying to get back to what Boston's been the last 20 years. So as long as they're still like the standard, as Boston is the standard when it comes to sports in a city, Los Angeles will always be trying to catch up, and I'm okay with that.
So you made the interesting point a little bit earlier about Bloom, who came from Tampa Bay. Now there's talks about Alex Cora possibly coming back as a
it's
coach.
More than talks right now.
But there's also other talks on the flip side. Is Bloom actually going to do it, or is he going to wait and just hire somebody as a fiddler until he can start poaching people down in Tampa Bay? Because he has like a 2-year window he has to wait.
So my sources, I've got a few sources telling me that Alex Cora to Boston is almost a done deal. It's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's a matter of when it's going to happen and when they get ink on the paper. They were really waiting for this World Series to be over and managerial candidates could start making things official. The only team I was worried about Alex Cora signing with was the White Sox. That team was a young, talented team with a bunch of Spanish-speaking players, English-speaking players. That Alex Cora would have thrived in Chicago on the South Side. And they ended up hiring 70-something-year-old Tony La Russa, and then Detroit hours ago signed AJ Hinch. So I think that's one of the last dominoes to fall. We're starting to put this Astros scandal behind us now, especially since AJ Hinch is a manager again. He is the main guy in the Detroit Tigers system. He is the head coach, manager, whatever you want to call him. But I think Heim is waiting for something like that to happen. I think he was waiting for a guy like to say, "Oh, they hired one of those Astros guys. I think we're okay to hire one too," because Tigers are going to get a ton of negative PR immediately. The Chicago White Sox got even more than Detroit has, which is really surprising. But I think Cora to Boston is essentially a done deal. I'd be happy to say congratulations to Alex Cora as the second-time manager of the Boston Red Sox.
And as the fan base, and this is a casual fan here,
Right.
I'm sure you're excited about it. Absolutely. I would be too, because that's like the move you need to make to get the Red Sox back
Correct.
to where they should be. And when you look at Cora and obviously the Astros situation, I've never seen such professionalism between a coach and the organization where they said, "Hey, you need to serve your suspension. We'll see you in a year. Once you serve it, we'll come and we'll talk again."
Exactly.
The fact that Cora, even, who could go anywhere he probably wants to or have field other offers, the fact that they're gonna reunite, it's good. It's good for business both in all sides. So, and that shows me that Cora is going to be a staple in Boston for nearly the next decade. We'll see how it goes throughout the next 5 years, but he ain't going anywhere. It's not. He's not going to be a guy that's one and done.
And it is interesting as a fan because we're on the outside looking in at all these inner workings, but it's not just the fans that love Alex Cora. It's like the top of the organization down. Like front office guys love this guy. The players, they connected with Alex Cora year one and were able to win 119 games at the end of it all. It is exciting looking at hopefully what does turn out to be Alex Cora coming back to continue his tenure as the Red Sox manager. There were 29 teams that all have managers as of right now. The Red Sox are the only team that don't have a manager. So Alex Cora to Boston is going to happen, and it is going to happen soon, and I cannot wait for the reintroductory press conference.
And it'll be good, too, to see, can he coach this team without Mookie Betts? Can he coach it without some of those pieces that were here? And he's starting to reshape it. I'm just thinking in my mind, if he wins another World Series with the Boston Red Sox, let's give him 4 years, the next 4 years, where do you put him and Terry Francona over the last 25 years in terms of 1 and 2?
Tito is a very special guy. I think if Cora was to win 2 more World Series, so put him at 3 total with the Red Sox, that would maybe push him over the edge. I think that would make them even. Terry Francona was an outstanding manager. Seeing what he was able to do with the Red Sox, bringing a team that hadn't won the World Series in nearly a century to 2 World Series titles in 3 years was very special. He is a fan favorite. He will always be a fan favorite, and it's good to see him still kind of succeeding out in Cleveland, making another World Series, but eventually losing to the Cubs in 7 games. But I do think Cora, if he signs again with the Red Sox, he can be that dude, like you said, for the next upwards of a decade.
Yep. All luck to Cora. Hey, any final thoughts for baseball in general? Anything that you're looking for this offseason?
It was a fun season.
Any big moves you're looking for this offseason? Anything that you think baseball might adapt going into next year?
So going into next year, the DH rule is definitely going to stay. So in the National League this year, the pitchers didn't have to hit, which was kind of exciting, but also kind of demoralizing for some guys because you don't get to see guys like Bartolo Colon going up and swinging for the fence every single time. They instituted a designated hitter rule in the National League. I think that's going to be the only rule that sticks going into next year. But the Red Sox have money to spend this year. They have money to spend this offseason, and I think they're going to make some splashy moves. The one that I'm looking for is whose player option was just declined by the Chicago Cubs. John Lester is a free agent again. I think it would be very cool to bring him back on the last contract he'll sign as a professional baseball player. Why not bring it back to where it all started? Bring him back to Boston, see if he can win a ring towards the end of that contract. If he signed a 4-year deal,
Fan favorite and a veteran guy
Absolutely.
that comes in there that's going to be listened to by the locker room. I mean, it's just like, let's just bring everybody back, dude.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
bring Cora back.
Bring all the vets. But my one last thing is this Red Sox team next year is going to be fun to watch. They're going to be a defensive machine next year. I am confident of that simply because they did not have any pitching this year. They had no starting pitching whatsoever. Next year, their rotation could potentially be one of the best in Major League Baseball, starting with Chris Sale coming back from Tommy John surgery, followed by Eduardo Rodriguez coming back from COVID-19 complications, followed by the only starter from this year, Nathan Eovaldi, followed by potentially John Lester, like we just said, and then the rookie sensation Tanner Houck, who was phenomenal this year in his two or three starts.
Well, Brendan, I hope that next year in April at the start of the season, you're able to come to Boston.
I hope we are there.
I hope that we're there as a country, as a society, that you're able to go out and about because you have a lot of trips ready to go.
Right. I've been looking at the schedule. I'm trying to figure out. I'm thinking of going to Oakland, coming up to Boston a few times. Especially, I'm just waiting for the go ahead. Waiting for the go ahead for Major League Baseball. I'm in their ear saying, "Hey, man, I'm just trying to buy some tickets. Come on, let me in."
Brendan, the Patriots are on the brink of their season about to be over, and this week has just been getting worse and worse with the news that you hear. First of all, the Stephon Gilmore trade talks have been heating up, and then
when is the trade deadline?
The trade deadline is November 3rd. It's actually Election Day. It's the same day, so it's coming up on Tuesday.
Big decision day.
Big decision day all around across America. Stephon Gilmore trade talks have been happening. His house is up for sale. We have Timmy King actually going there on Sunday. I hope we can get some content. We'll see what happens with that. And then all of a sudden, Gilmore's going to be out for Buffalo. I guess he hurt his knee in practice, which I think that's completely fake. I think that it's just a way to hold him out. To see his value is what it is. This is what you're going to get. We don't want any more games with him. Julian Edelman now had surgery this past week. He's going to be out for a couple. I've been saying if the Patriots are like 4 games under 500, that guy ain't coming back. Like, if for his health, I'm not going to come back unless this team wins.
Right.
You just look at N'Keal Harry has a concussion. He might not play. He's questionable Sunday. So everything is not looking good for the Patriots.
Right.
Against Buffalo.
I did see that the Buffalo Bills are dealing with quite a few injuries as well. Not as many as key guys like Edelman, Gilmore, guys like that, but they're still dealing with quite a few injuries.
And Buffalo is already trolling the New England Patriots with Brady can't help you anymore type of billboard they put out there.
I wish.
But Buffalo's used to doing that over the last 20 years. They've always done these things. I am not giving up. I've said it last week. I'm not giving up on the Patriots just yet. They're 2-4. I'm still, even if they lose this game, I'll get into a second, but I'm not giving up on them. They could beat Buffalo. It's going to be very windy that day. It's ground and pound. You need to get James White mixed in there. You got to get the Rex Burkhead in there. You got to get Damian Harris in there. You got to get Taylor mixed in there. Cam Newton's got to make the plays on his legs.
Right.
The guy, and here's the thing, Brendan. The Vegas Raiders game, he looked a little iffy. Then all of a sudden, Kansas City had COVID. The next game they play against Denver, hey, they only had 2 practices. There was 0 excuses last week. And people can blame the defense, saying the defense didn't keep them in the game. Cam Newton didn't keep them in the game.
Right.
Cam Newton, all this whole wide receivers don't get separation. Wide receivers got separation during the day. Cam Newton just folds under pressure. When that pocket collapses, he gets a little bit rattled. His throws are off. We saw Patrick Chung this past week, maybe a couple days ago, post on the Patriots Instagram as more of a hype up. Some people have taken it as a way that he's trying to shit on Cam Newton. He's not. He's trying to use it as a motivation hype up. And those that are shitting on Patrick Chung saying, well, why aren't you playing with the team? He just had a newborn. He looked at the virus. He looked at what's going on. It was a good decision for him. Same thing with Hightower. I mean, he just had a baby as well, too. It was a good decision for him as well.
And granted, those are great players. I don't think they're changing this team from a 2-4 team to a 4-2 team. I just don't see that.
Yeah, I mean, things just didn't go their way this past month. Jimmy Garoppolo came in, he beat the Patriots, and we'll get to that in a little bit later when we go through our picks. I mean, this is a must-win for Cam Newton's sake, because Cam Newton, even if they win and Cam Newton stinks, you're done. He's done. Stidham's taken over, and I know I've been on the Stidham Stiffy hype train all year long. You can't throw Stidham in there in the fourth quarter down by double digits just to see what he has. The guy needs to start a game eventually. You need to see him build the momentum with the team around him, and then you can make the decision when he sucks or not. And I think that it's almost like Stidham's about to have a cupcake matchup against the Jets next week. I mean, you can't lose that game.
Right.
I just look at Cam Newton as this is the redemption game. He's got to go out there. I know people are going to make the excuses afterwards that he doesn't have wide receivers. He's got plenty of people in the backfield to help him out. Just ground and pound, play conservative, get the ball down the field, trust your defense. I think the defense is going to want to beat the Buffalo Bills this week because it's just this. They're leading the division. They're doing all the shit talk. And if you can win this game, you're going to go to Monday Night Football. You're going to go 4-4. Then Baltimore Ravens, it's a toss-up at that point, and we'll deal with that in 2 weeks when the time comes. I personally think the Patriots are in trouble, and I'm not pushing the panic button, not saying the season's over, but man, Bill Belichick has to be in the hot seat soon.
It does not look good right now. Yeah.
He has to be in the hot seat. And I said this
I do disagree with you there simply because he is Bill Belichick. It's
not fair to say, look at Antonio Brown going down to Tampa Bay.
Right.
And then all of a sudden his drafting over the past couple of years, like N'Keal Harry, and you're seeing AJ Brown and DK going nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at some of the players that he's picked up, and yes, you can say, well, they don't have Hightower, they don't have Chung, and some of these guys have opted out. I mean, it's not that he should be on the hot seat that he should get fired. That's not what I'm saying. He should be on the hot seat by the media and by the fan base and by the organization. Say, hey, Bill, what are you doing, dude?
Right.
Is it really Brady that's carrying you the last couple of years and getting you those extra wins? Because it kind of looks like it. And it is the point, Brendan, that if Tom Brady was on this team, would they be 4-2? Maybe not, but they'd be 3-3. They would have an extra win.
I don't think they lose that Niners game. I don't think they lose that Broncos game either. And if you even go back to the Seattle game, Tom Brady might win that game as too.
I don't think Tom Brady would keep them in early on, but the momentum changes because it's Tom Brady. It is Tom Brady. And when you're up 7-0 that quick, and then you get the ball back, I mean, eventually when you get the ball back, the conservative play style of Tom Brady, he knows how to pick apart defenses. The Kansas City game's a wash because of COVID. Cam never played that game, so Tom would never play that game. We would just cancel that game out. It would be different. It
would be.
Let me tell you, it's just, I've always said this. I'm not rooting against Tom Brady personally. I'm not supporting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It's like the Mookie Betts thing. It's exactly like Mookie Betts. We were just talking about it. I think it's the exact same scenario, but we didn't trade him. He walked out on his own.
It's and for all those people that say you should have kept Brady, does Brady want to play with this team, or does he want to play with the Tampa Bay Bucks? Like, look at the team that they already had built, and he was going to lure Gronkowski in. You knew that was going to happen because Gronk was fed up with the Patriots. That was gone. He ends up luring in Leonard Fournette. He can end up getting Antonio Brown. Like, he knew he was getting Antonio Brown. Once they cleared those 8 weeks, he knew he was going to get him, and you knew that the Patriots were never going to get AB. Even if Brady stayed on this team, AB would still not be on the Patriots this year because of the way that he left and he shit on Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
I do say this.
What are your thoughts about that addition? Do you think that will push them to the Super Bowl?
Antonio Brown has definitely been quiet on social media since the signing and pre-signing as well too, and hopefully he learned his lesson. I do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I am not sold on Bruce Arians as a head coach. I am not sold on him when the time comes that when they're obviously a playoff team, they'll go to the NFC title game and they'll lose. They'll blow it. And it's not on Tom, and it won't be on Tom Brady. It will not be on him. I will not blame him for a loss. He might make a mistake, but it won't totally be on him. I think it's going to be on the defense, and I think it's going to be on coaching, and I think it's going to be on clock management. Some of the little things we've already seen this year, clock management, that's already lost them a game. They're going to be on cruise control. I mean, they're playing the freaking New York Giants on Monday Night Football coming up. They're going to play the Saints coming up again. They're going to have, and dude, their back half of the schedule, they play like Atlanta twice. They have to play Carolina again. Like, they are in cruise control. I do see it this way. I don't see them making the Super Bowl. And if they do, I see them losing. I just don't, depending on who they play. who do they lose to in the NFC? If they lose the NFC, they're going to end up losing to Seattle. I think
Okay.
Seattle, it will be a shootout. But where's Gilmore going to go? Imagine Gilmore went to Seattle. That's why if you trade Gilmore, let's go back to that. You trade him to an NFC team. If you're Belichick, strategically trade him to Seattle just because you're stopping Brady from possibly winning a championship because you don't want that heat.
That's a good point.
You might not want that.
I think that is a very hot take. If you were to choose one team that Gilmore's most likely to get traded to right now, who do you think it would be?
It can't be the AFC. You can't trade him to the AFC.
Because then you'd have to play him.
I think it might be the Detroit Lions, just because
Really?
I was thinking about Marvin Jones Jr.
Okay.
And you can do a trade where Gilmore goes there for a second rounder and Marvin Jones Jr. and maybe you do Gilmore in like a late round pick or something like that. I don't know the values and all that, but then all of a sudden Gilmore's a little comfortable because Jamie Collins is there. Who else do they have on defense? They have Danny Shelton over there as well too. Matt Patricia. So Gilmore,
defensive-minded coach, right?
He'd feel at least comfortable in Detroit. You tuck him away over there. He doesn't have to. I mean, Detroit. Who knows where they're going to go this season? And honestly, that's a great trade for Detroit, who's still hinging for a possible playoff spot down the line. They might be wanting to make that trade, but I mean, you can send him to the New Orleans Saints because Michael Thomas might want out. Do you want to try to grab that head case, Michael Thomas? The Green Bay Packers definitely need some little help on defense in their secondary. I looked at Seattle. Seattle desperately needs help. I think Bill might have a big trade in mind. And Houston was another one that popped up too. Will Fuller. They don't have a first-round draft pick. Miami.
Houston?
The more they tank Houston, the better the pick gets in for Miami. So if you're Bill Belichick, let me send them to Houston. You send them over there. Now all of a sudden Houston's pick for this year for Miami might not be as terrible, as good. I mean,
right.
So it might be like middle of the pack, and it sets up Houston's future for next year and the next couple of years as well too. So, I mean, I think Gilmore's done. He's definitely done here. I think it's a good business move because, hey, listen, you brought him in here. He got you to a Super Bowl 52, Super Bowl 53. Defensive Player of the Year, and you paid him. There's no hard feelings. There's no hard. This guy wasn't a homegrown guy either. He played in Buffalo prior to this. You got him out of that hellhole in Buffalo. You made him a household name, more of a household name, and he's gone. And now you have to get something off of it, and that might look good for Bill. Long term.
Will J.C. Jackson be the number one corner in New England?
And he will be, and it's great for him. And this is another Bill Belichick move. J.C. Jackson's a restricted free agent after this year. Okay. So I think this is the time to say, all right, kid, we're 2-4. I mean, he's going to start this week. He's got to cover Diggs this week.
Right.
Hey, kid, this is your time to shine. You want to make that money? Go ahead. And let me tell you something.
Show us you earn it.
J.C. Jackson, I don't know his financial status, but I know from just what I see and what I hear is that he acts like he's broke. He acts like he's broke. He sells every game ball that he gets. He sells all his jerseys. And I talked to somebody that does jerseys and they pick up jerseys. And he's like, maybe he's not materialistic. He probably saves one or two. And I said, I think of it this way. His contract's like $750,000. It's not a lot of money to a player like that. Cause what if he gets hurt? What if he sucks or something like that? I said, if you sell a jersey for like $2,000, that's your mortgage payment for the month. That's the way I look at it. So I think he's kind of trying to be smart with his money, and he knows a big payday's coming. He needs to play lights out over this next year. So do you want someone like him to play lights out, or do you want Stephon Gilmore to finish off the season, not give a shit? Like, he's already got his money. He already got his defensive player of the year. Yeah. He's got his Super Bowl championship.
Get you back in the fight, totally.
J.C. Jackson's a Super Bowl champion, but he's not paid. He'd never made the money yet. And I think that also – I've been very adamant about J.C. Jackson's a number one corner on a lot of these teams.
I really didn't know who he was before this season. I am learning who J.C. Jackson is.
J.C. Jackson really got his name out there, I would say, the Super Bowl 53 run. They started mixing him in because he was an undrafted free agent. Bill saw something in him. They ended up having him with who else was – so that was Super Bowl – maybe it was Super Bowl 52. How long is Gilmore? He had a good run with the Pittsburgh game. There was a Pittsburgh game where he completely shut down Juju Smith-Schuster. like
Okay.
like JC. Like he held it down. It might have been.
I don't think we've played the Steelers in the playoffs since 2017, maybe
No, but
2016.
I
That
think
AFC Championship.
I think it might have been. This is
I
gonna
think it was
suck.
the
This is
AFC
so bad for me.
the AFC Championship to get to Super Bowl 51, actually.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about in the regular season when
Okay.
they played each other. J.C.
Gotcha.
Jackson like had a little run. That Super Bowl run, I know he went on for a couple games and he looked fucking fantastic. Oh yeah, it definitely was Super Bowl 53 because Jason McCourty was the second guy next
Okay.
to. Jason McCourty was the second guy next to Gilmore. And then Jason was having a good season and then started tailing back, and they slid J.C. Jackson in there. And J.C. Jackson in that Pittsburgh game completely shut it down. The last 2 weeks, he looked great. And then all playoff long, it was Gilmore, and then it was J.C. Jackson, and then Devin McCourty as the safety. And then you had Jason come in as a relief almost.
Gotcha.
For JC.
Totally.
So since then, he's been playing good. Like, he plays lights out. The one problem people have with J.C. Jackson is he gets a lot of penalties. At the same time, this is from Ty Law telling me, Bill Belichick gives you one penalty a game. He wants you to be smash mouth. He wants you to fucking throw somebody down, get a 15-yard, but be smart about it. Be very, very smart about it. Unlike Chase Winovich last week, where they stop it on third down and Chase hit Garoppolo, and then it's a 15-yard and you give him a first down. That's a different story. Do it early on in the game, not late in the game is what Ty Law would say. Again, I think it's Belichick trying to play a little chess here. JC's a young kid. He's got his ring, but he needs his money. He needs to play like he needs his money. He acts like he needs his money right now. Gilmore's got it all. His career's done. Gilmore, in a way, it's not done.
He's already secured the bag. He's set up. Yeah.
What else does Gilmore need to do? He just needs to keep his stats up for a Hall of Fame career. But like, what else does he need to do? He's done a lot of accomplishments already in a short amount of time with the New England Patriots. Belichick got the maximum value and effort. And he paid him, but he got the maximum value and effort out of Stephon Gilmore. It's time to get that out of J.C. Jackson. And I want to see, Brendan, a guy named Joejuan Williams. That's somebody that Bill Belichick drafted last year.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe he drafted last year. He had an incident over the offseason with drug paraphernalia in his car. He got arrested. It is what it is. That's in the past. But they drafted him. They wanted him to be the next future guy. Let him play with J.C. Jackson. And that could be a spark in the defense that gets these guys going, the young group. And I will say this:
the young guys want it. I, as a football fan, as just a sports fan, I know that the young guys want it more than veterans who've already done it, everything that they can, unless they've got a mindset like Tom Brady.
If J.C. Jackson is a restricted free agent, he might get paid. Like, I think Belichick pays him. Okay. And usually he doesn't pay people, but I think that his talent alone will get you for the next until his next contract comes, and then that could be the big contract for J.C. Jackson, where he gets the ultra super deal. But I say this: J.C. Jackson is better than Malcolm Butler, and Malcolm Butler got a fat contract from the Titans. I think he's a better. I think it's going to take a couple years, but
same kind of story. Honestly, right now he just doesn't have a game-saving pick in the Super Bowl.
But J.C. Jackson, instead of Malcolm Butler, got that one play. And he played in the game, and he kind of got burnt here and there. Whereas J.C. Jackson played a whole Super Bowl run and was like lights out the entire time. And I will say this before we move on. It's funny because people are like, oh, you don't hear Gilmore's name all the time. You don't hear Gilmore's name every game. That's because he's just shutting down the receiver, and they never throw his way. So it's going to be interesting to see keep an eye on J.C. this weekend, especially against Diggs and especially against this Buffalo team. Brendan, what's our record right now?
So I don't have the overall records, but you could do the math if you wanted to. I have the records from last week. So you and Tyler had a rough week. You both finished 500, 7-7. It is what it is. You guys took some wild picks. Notably, you chose all in the same week. You chose the Jets, Bengals, and
won.
Falcons.
All three of them almost won. That could have went the other way.
But did they though?
They didn't.
I chose the right team. You did.
They almost won.
I did choose the Bengals, but I didn't choose the Jets and the Bengals. Let's see. We all took the Seahawks to win that game. That was a great game. The Seahawks-Cardinals game. I know Mike is a big Cardinals fan, I'm pretty sure, along with the Patriots, but that was a crazy game. I don't know what the Seahawks were doing, or I think it was the Cardinals they tried to kick a game-winning field goal on second down, which blew my mind. I've never seen that. That's like Kevin Cash taking a guy throwing a gem out in the World Series Game 6. You can't do that. And you end up losing or getting the ball back, but you win the game. But it was interesting. So I finished 9-5 last week. Joe finished 10-4 and led the way. I think he's tied or passed Tyler now for best record. So I think Joe's leading the way. And then you and Tyler 7-7.
I accepted that I'm down and out. But just like the Patriots, just give me some time.
Right.
Maybe this week will help me out. And let me tell you this. Joe Stafford's not on the show today. Tyler Miller's not on the show.
We got a chance to take a big lead.
We told them prior to the show. We gave them plenty of time. Get your picks in. We're doing the picks. And if they don't do their picks, guess what happens? 0-0. Sorry, you guys didn't get them in this week. We already took a bye week. We already had our bye week for Boston's Big Three. Okay? So if they don't get their picks in, I'm going to send it over. I'm going to give them a little time right now, both to Joe Stafford and Tyler Miller. We're going to put this in there. But if one doesn't show up or both don't show up, it goes to me and Brendan this week, and we can play some catch up. That's an executive decision coming right from the top from Spike King.
But if we go 7-7, it won't matter since we're going to go off percentages anyways. But wins-wise, we're going to get ahead.
We will. We definitely will. All right, let's send it over to Joe Stafford or Tyler Miller if they have their picks for the week. All right, Brendan, we'll go right through this. We'll fly by it. I'm gonna let you go first. You might you usually have one-word answers, but we'll see what happens. Titans at Bengals.
Titans are a good football team. What do you think?
Titans all the way. They're 5-1. Bengals 5-1. I mean, Tennessee looks like they're the team. They're a team to beat this year. I mean, you can't go against them. They're gonna steamroll them. Raiders at Browns.
Honestly, I like the Browns. I think they can. I know OBJ's done for the year, which is terrible. You hate to see a guy get injured the way he did. Browns.
Last week, the Raiders had some trouble with their offensive line, and COVID kind of went through that locker room. And they had to play Tampa Bay. They held themselves a little bit in that game. I am wondering about Baker Mayfield's ribs and his injury. If he gets that one or two bad hits in the game, he's done for. I think this might be the time the Cleveland Browns start slipping. I think they're a good team. I don't think OBJ has anything to do with it. I think they're a good team, but I think Baker Mayfield's going to get hurt soon. I really do. I'm taking the Raiders that game.
Okay.
We have the Colts at Lions.
I think the Colts are average. I think the Lions are average too. I think this game could be a tie, but the Lions, I think I'll take the Lions at home, I think.
Yep, Lions are at home. The Colts are coming off a bye week. I'm very, very interested to see how they're coming off the bye. I'm going to take the Colts just for that. The Colts are only favored 3 points in this game. It's in a dome. I mean, you're a team that has to keep up with Tennessee. Tennessee's going to be 6-1. We just said that. I mean, they're going to win that game. So the Colts and Phillip Rivers needs to do that. But it would be very Phillip Rivers-esque if he blows this game. And somehow the Lions got gifted a game last week. So let's see what ends up happening.
Hey, they didn't. The Lions were going to win that game through and through because they were playing the Falcons. The Falcons leading in the fourth quarter basically means the other team's winning at that point.
Hey, I mean, they just beat Carolina.
Yeah.
All right, we have the Vikings at the Packers.
I'm going to go Packers. The Vikings, they've showed nothing. They haven't shown anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, especially with this being in Green Bay, even though that means nothing because there's no fans. Aaron Rodgers. It could be chilly. Could be snowy. Aaron Rodgers, man. He got that one loss. He looked terrible against Tampa Bay. Redemption time. And I mean, you're the Packers. You're 5-1. Tampa Bay they have the tiebreaker over you, and they have 2 losses. You have to stay ahead of Tampa Bay for the remainder of the season, especially when there's only one bye. That's going to be very interesting.
I forgot about that. That is interesting.
Very interesting when we get that later on. Jets at the Chiefs.
All right, who'd you take? Packers?
I'll take the Packers. Yeah.
Okay.
Packers. Jets at the Chiefs.
Chiefs by 18 million and then some.
Can the Chiefs cover 19.5 points?
Oh yeah, I saw a guy throw. I think he threw $60,000 on the money line of this game, to potentially win $2,000.
That's nothing. That's so crazy.
It's ridiculous.
The only way Jets win is if like Mahomes, Tyreek, they all go down. Le'Veon Bell, I think, is going to play this game too.
Okay, is this his first game with them?
I believe it's his first game. And guess who's he playing against? The New York Jets.
He gonna run over 100 for the first time in like 3 years.
DraftKings. You take him in DraftKings lineup this week. We have the Rams at the Dolphins.
I'll take the Dolphins. I think this is a kind of a
first start.
Yeah, exactly. It could be a swing pick. It could be a great decision or a bad decision. I think Tua is a good quarterback. I think he can be good for the Dolphins. I think he'll be better at if not at least match what Ryan Fitzpatrick was doing.
Miami's coming off a bye week too, and they announced right after last game that they played that Tua was going to start. So Tua had so much time to prep for this. I've always said West Coast playing East Coast at 1 o'clock. I don't pick it. The last time the Rams played the AFC at 1 o'clock, it was the Buffalo Bills. They lost that game. I like the Dolphins too. I'm taking the Dolphins as this one. Plus, knowing that you have still the shot at the AFC East, it might get a little nitty gritty.
Yeah.
With what's going on with the New England Patriots.
I do think that Tua's going to throw a pick since he is a rookie. I just think that's a normal thing. Like it happens, but I think it's going to be it's against a good defense in LA. To Jalen Ramsey, he's going to catch a Tua pick.
Tua will get his first NFL win quicker than Joe Burrow did. That's something that needs to be talked about too. I think Joe Burrow is starting to show that Cincinnati's not the place to be.
Right.
Steelers at Ravens. This is a really great
game. It's a good one.
I don't know why this is a 1 o'clock game. This should have got flexed later on. Baltimore is favored in this game by 4 points.
Really?
Yep.
I think I'm going to say, the Steelers are great. I think they're the only undefeated team left, if I'm wrong. I think this is the game they lose. I think this is going to be a great game. This is going to be probably the best 1 o'clock game of the day. I think the addition of Des Bryant's not going to do anything for Baltimore. I think they're going to stay exactly where they're at. But I think Baltimore does squeak out a win here.
I was sitting in this chair week 1 watching the Giants-Pittsburgh game, and I was like, oh, Pittsburgh's going to suck this year. Big Ben's going to suck. He's had He's had the best team in a long time. And actually, they were just saying it shows you that Pittsburgh, even when they lose pieces, they still stay relevant in certain ways, and it's just clicking this year. And I'm going to take Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that they go 7-0. And I think that Big Ben finally deserves – he's always been overshadowed by Tom Brady. And I think Big Ben now deserves, he's the veteran guy in the AFC now. I think he deserves all that credit and all that love. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game. Chargers at Broncos. Both teams.
Chargers are going to win this game. Herbert's a good quarterback. The Broncos should not have won. I think they played the Chiefs or something last week. The Broncos are not a great team this year. They're in a rebuilding mode, but I think the Chargers are probably a year or so ahead of schedule, considering that Herbert is a rookie still. I think the Chargers win that game.
Yeah, I mean, big game for Herbert as well. I'm going to take the Chargers as well too, because Justin Herbert needs to string on a couple wins this year. We're not telling them to, go to the playoffs. 6-10 season wouldn't be so bad. Win 4 more games this year as a rookie and go 6-10. I mean, look at Kyler Murray last year. What was the Cardinals last year? Like,
I couldn't tell you.
4-12 or 5-11 or 6-10, and look at what they are now. So it gives you hope for Justin Herbert, and would be a great selling point for any free agents if they want to put it out in LA for the Chargers. Saints at Bears. Another great game. 4-2 team versus a 5-2 team.
I don't think it's that great a game. I think the Saints are a much better team, especially on paper. The Bears have that Nick Foles effect, so
Bears find ways to win.
They do, but I'm still sticking with the Saints here. They're a much better team.
Saints are -5. I'm taking that in a parlay this week. I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm taking the Saints. I think the Saints, and again, another team with the Saints who owns the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay right now. They're both 4-2 right now. They own the tiebreaker over them. You have to keep it going. You have to keep that up. So these are in the back of their minds for these teams. Shows you how great the NFC is, including this other game.
Except those teams on the East.
Yeah, and yeah, the NFC East is so bad, which we'll get in a second. First of all, let's just talk about how good the NFC West is.
Yeah,
49ers 4-3 facing the Seattle Seahawks, who are 5-1, who the Seahawks just lost to the Arizona Cardinals.
Right.
And Jimmy G, they're turning it around a little bit. They had and that's a great confidence booster last week to beat the New England Patriots in their house, and now you're playing Seattle the very next week.
Who would you say the worst team in that division is? Because I think it's easy to say the Seahawks are the best team in that division, but I feel like those 3 teams are very evenly matched at this moment in time. Niners, Cardinals, and the Rams. That's a pretty even playing field.
It's got to be the Rams.
The worst of those 3?
I think the Rams are I think with the 49ers situation is that You lost Jimmy G with injury, and
Right.
Jimmy G did get benched again in the Miami game. It's between Rams and Niners. I think it's going to come down to this week because if the Rams lose to the Dolphins, like we just said, we would both pick the Dolphins, and I'm picking the Seahawks in this game as well too. I think they'll eke it out. It'd be shocking if they lose back to back against their division foes. But I think the Niners still put up a really good showing, a strong showing out there against the Seahawks. I think it's the Rams. I think the Rams could fall apart at some point this year and look kind of fraudulent. You picking the Seahawks this game?
Yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks against the 49ers.
When you talked about the East is very lackluster. Ben DiNucci is going to be your starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, who are 2-5. Ben DiNucci.
Who?
Ben DiNucci.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Italian. Philadelphia is favored by 11 points this game.
I feel like it would be really hard to go against the Eagles here. I feel this is like, even though they're probably have one game lead in that division, it's their division to lose because all the other teams are just a joke, man.
This is how wild the NFC East is. Philadelphia 2-4-1, Washington 2-5, Dallas 2-5, the New York Giants 1-6.
So how many wins total is that? Because the Steelers could potentially have more wins than that division.
2, 4, 6, 7. 7 wins.
So if the Steelers win early, they will have the same amount of wins as that division in its entirety.
It's crazy.
Good Lord. What there needs to be a thing similar to the NBA where if that division is just awful, the way it is right now, none of those teams should be playoff teams, and one of them's going to make the playoffs this year.
Who are you picking this game? You picking the Eagles?
Eagles.
I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. I just think that this NFC East.
Babs, this is our chance to catch up to Joe. You might want to.
I look at this. Ben DiNucci, third stringer.
Oh no.
Is going to hand off the ball nonstop to Zeke. This is going to be the biggest Zeke game out there. I think that Ezekiel Elliott can tear up the Eagles. And I think Carson Wentz is going to make a couple mistakes out there on a primetime game. I think the Eagles are frauds as well, too. The whole division's a fraud. Yeah. But I think the Eagles had their time to shine on Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago against the Niners. It's going to be vice versa. They're going to end up hurting themselves. And Ben DiNucci, Amari Cooper might just be like, throw it up to me. CeeDee Lamb, they might already have a connection built during training camp and stuff.
Yeah.
Throw it to me. Just give me the ball. And I think when you have someone like Ben DiNucci, he doesn't need to play conservative. He can just sling the fucking rock out there. What's he got to lose, dude? He's got everything to gain and nothing to lose because he's third string. And I think if you keep that mentality going on, you're going to be loose out there. Whereas Andy Dalton took over. He's like, Andy Dalton's a veteran guy. He's got to, get his redemption, his time to shine. I truly, truly think Ben DiNucci's
I think you're crazy, but I see where you're coming from. I think you're a madman for choosing the Cowboys.
Any given Sunday, baby.
I need to get you the clown nose and send it over there.
Buccaneers at Giants Monday Night Football.
Bucks are good. Bucks are really good. And they added Antonio Brown. I think you'd be crazy not to pick him here.
Antonio Brown will score the first touchdown in that game.
You think it's the same playbook that they used that the Patriots used against Miami? Just feed him.
AB will not be out there the entire game, and this is what's great about this offense. Same thing with Gronk and all these guys. You can play conservative.
Right.
You can just limit him to 25 to 35% snaps. You don't have to have AB out there running around like crazy. And this
because you're going to need him in the long run.
And also, AB was buried at a 1:00 game on Sunday with Miami last year. This year, he gets Monday Night Football. He gets the bright lights on him. Boston Fro will be right there. We'll probably see him on TV when AB catches his touchdown. This is a redemption for Antonio Brown, and Brady's going to fucking launch it to him.
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay's favored by 10.5 points, and I would take that last game of the day, or the week, but it's the New England Patriots at Buffalo Bills. How you feeling about that, brother?
I'm not feeling confident, especially with all the injuries that we've already talked about. Gilmore on the trading block. I think Gilmore's probably on another team by the time this game is over and said and done. I don't think he's going to be one of those trade deadline guys, but I think he's going to be one of those guys who is on his way out, because apparently having your house on the market, you got to watch the real estate market instead of Rappaport's Twitter. Like
Yeah.
you got to see who's selling their houses, and you can
Maybe
figure
that's
out
why
who's
he's
on.
out this week.
Exactly. You got to see who's on the go. He's probably on Zillow out in Seattle or somewhere already, house hunting already. You never know. But I am not feeling confident for the Patriots going into this game against Buffalo. They're going up to Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm my confidence meter's at an all-time low. I've never picked against the Patriots on this show. Going back to last year, I think this is the game that I have to. I think that Bills team is pretty good, and they're finding their way. I think this is the game. It's kind of similar to how LeBron James was in the East for so long, and the Raptors could never get by him. I feel like that's the very, very same scenario when you have the Buffalo Bills versus Tom Brady. Tom Brady whooped them every time they played. Every single time they met, Tom whooped them, at home or away. I feel like it's the same thing. I think the Buffalo Bills break through. This is the game where you start to question the dynasty. You could start seeing if it was a thing of the past or if it's still around. And this is when you start looking at the dynasty in the rear view.
Brendan, you said on this show you never pick against the Patriots. And you know what? We're all Boston bias is what
Right.
we are. Did it shock you last week when I picked the San Francisco 49ers?
It did.
Over the New England Patriots?
It did. I thought the Patriots had a chance. I thought Cam Newton would be back in full strength again after practicing all week, but lo and behold, it's not looking great right now.
I'm telling you right now, Brendan, back-to-back weeks, I'm picking against the Patriots.
Wow.
And I think the Buffalo Bills will win this game as well. And it's crazy that I just did this 2 straight weeks. And there's been times where I want to pick, not pick the Patriots. There's been plenty of times where I said, I'm biased. I'm sticking with them. It's the New England Patriots. Cam Newton is fraudulent. He's not a pocket passer. I think he has zero confidence going into this game. It's just shot. He's got nothing left in the tank. And I think we're going to get to a point, and I don't know what the score is going to be. It could be 10-3 for all I know. The Patriots are losing 10-3. Jarrett Stidham will come in at halftime this game. He's going to come in at halftime. That's what I feel. And I'm not rooting against Cam Newton. I want the Patriots to win. I just don't think with the offense, what it's looking like right now, and the confidence that he has over these last few games, it's over with. It's done for.
I don't even know if I can name 3 of the receivers that are going to be lining up for the Patriots this weekend.
And I want to just tell everybody at home that's watching this, and I'm sure I'm going to post this at some point, Cam Newton is a loser. He's a losing quarterback. He had one really good season at 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl and won an MVP. But he has not really done anything. And do you want to have that hope? Do we want to share the love? Do we want to hop on the wagon? I hopped on that bandwagon because I'm going to support him. But now we can circle back to the beginning of this preseason in training camp when we signed him. And I said, this guy lost 8 straight starts. Babs, he's hurt. He's injured. What excuses are you going to continue making for Cam Newton, everybody? Oh, well, he has COVID. He has foggy brain. Oh, he doesn't have wide receivers. No, that's not that. Cam Newton is starting to crack.
What do you make of that Seattle game then? Because that was an unreal stat line for him. That looked like MVP Cam
Where's that
up in
Cam
Seattle.
Newton? Where is he? What happened since then? In the Vegas game, he didn't look
Right.
so great. Kansas City game's a wash. You come back against the Denver game, and you didn't practice. But hey, just because you don't practice doesn't mean you're going over film, doesn't mean you're going over situations. Why aren't you guys running through drills together secretly? Why aren't these things happening? Because God knows that even with COVID happening, Brady would have been doing something secret in the basement and running plays with certain guys on the offense.
He was down in Florida. Got in trouble for it.
You went from Seattle looking at the highest of high 1 yard away and also saying the right things in the post game to now completely getting demolished in that San Francisco game. And then the other day saying, oh, losing's not accepted in this locker room. You're figuring that out now. Like, is losing, Brendan, in any locker room in any sport, is losing accepted? Because these millennial kids that are 16, 15 years old are going on chirping on my Instagram saying, "Oh, losing cultures happen everywhere. It's okay." No, it's not. Like, it's never okay to lose. No matter what you are doing in life, it's never okay to lose. You always want to win.
Do you think
So
those Browns a few years ago enjoy going 0-16, or the Detroit Lions a few years earlier? They're not having fun. Like, that haunts them. Like, that haunts them to this day. About they played an entire brutal season in like the most violent sport on the planet and didn't win a single game. That's not a culture that you want.
it's crazy to see fans wanted Cam Newton signed with an extension after game 2, and now look where he is now. And I say
It's totally different.
I am looking at it, Brendan, as Cam Newton, your time's up with the New England Patriots. Guess what? Didn't hurt us. We only paid you $1 million base salary. He might not even hit any of his incentives right now. It doesn't even look like that. And you know what? I said this, it was a win-win, because if he was good, you got him on the cheapest contract. And if he's not good, so what? You tested it out, and you have Jarrett Stidham now in. And if the Patriots are going to now look for their future quarterback, and it's not Cam Newton, and you're not going to sign him for what he's going to end up wanting, move on to Jarrett Stidham. Let him just roll out the rest of the season, see what he has in store for him, then also go into the draft and draft somebody and go grab another bridge guy. That's what you got to do. They wanted to do it this way. We thought it might have worked out. It's not going to work out. If I'm the Buffalo Bills as well, too, on the flip side, this is the game to end the dynasty. Like, that's what it's going to feel like. And we've seen this and heard this over and over again. Like, the Eagles and the Titans have done it, and they beat you in these games. The Jacksonville Jaguars thinking they did it, like when they went 1-2, the Lions. This is the game where the Buffalo Bills will be like, they don't have Brady anymore, and they're going to be 2-5, and we could win the division. That to them is going to be a statement, and it benefits the Patriots not to have any fans there, and it's going to be a windy game. But they've established a winning culture up in Buffalo. Sean McDermott going to the playoffs 2 out of last years. And we've talked about it prior to the season. Buffalo Bills were that team to probably win the AFC East. They can win the division this game. I think they can win the division this game.
How far ahead does it put them if they win this game? 3 complete games?
They would be 6-2, and the Patriots would be 2-5. So the Patriots still have another game, like a half game in there.
3.5, yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 games.
Yeah.
Whereas on the flip side, it'd be 1.5. That's how monumental the shift will be.
That's a big gap to overcome, especially with only about 9 games left after that.
And lastly, whose heart's still in this season, Brendan? Is the McCourty still wanting to try out there? Are they still wanting to put all the effort in there? Some of these Jawan Bentleys want to still put the effort in there. Who's still trying on the New England Patriots?
I think it's all those rookies that we were talking about. These guys that, like we were talking about the Gilmore situation, guys like JC, guys that don't have a contract for next season who are playing to get paid next year, guys that want to keep their jobs on this Patriots team next year.
Dietrich Weiss is somebody else that's going to be a free agent. He's been putting a lot of pressure out there, but these are the guys. Even Chase Winovich is someone who's young that needs to be a leader and a role model in that locker room, and he's somebody that needs to play well as well too. We said it with Edelman. Edelman's heart didn't look like it, but we'll see what ends up happening. That's crazy. Both of us go, and I'm interested if Tyler and we don't know. I don't even know anything yet, but if Tyler and Joe went that, I don't know which way they're going to go. I think they both go Buffalo as well. I think Joe will go Buffalo, and I think Tyler will go Buffalo. I think they'll play the spread. Like, they're going to go with the favorite.
Right.
Last word for you, Brendan. Anything you want to talk about?
Not much. It was a fun baseball season. I am a little depressed that football is our only sport left, because if we were to rank all our favorite teams in New England, I feel like the Patriots would be my number 3. Like, I love basketball, I love baseball. Everyone knows that. But I'm going to be in the sad boy hours while baseball's gone the next few days. But next few months. I am looking forward to see what the basketball season brings, because there's ongoing negotiation talks about when that season's going to start, if it's going to be 72 games, 50 games. It is exciting to see that. Basketball will be back eventually, because it should be happening right now. My actual final thought: 7 years ago today, the Boston Red Sox won the 2013 World Series on their home field at Fenway Park, in a championship run that was so much more than just a championship. A victory for the city that was so much more than just winning a baseball game on an October night. It was a meaningful victory for the city of Boston, recovering from one of its greatest tragedies of all time, and seeing that the city was able to come together. It's the anniversary of really the fulfillment of what David Ortiz set out to do a few months prior that April, and letting everyone know that this is our city, and no one's gonna tell us, no one's gonna dictate our freedom. And with that, go vote this week. If you're registered, vote. You got a few days left. Vote early. Vote on Tuesday. Make sure your voice is heard.
Stole my final thought, because I was to say the election's on Tuesday in Brendan Watabe. We can have political differences, and it happens at Ride the Wave, and that's absolutely fine, depending on how you want to approach your political difference, Caden Bodak. But I just want to say to everybody else out there, go vote. I have not voted yet. I've been waiting for election day to vote. I don't trust the mail-in ballots. I don't trust the early voting. I wanted to wait for the day of to vote, because there's still things happening in this world. You never know what's going to happen this upcoming weekend. And more importantly, don't even focus on the presidents. Focus on your states as well too.
Right.
Who's running within your state? What little electives are on the ballot? Like in Massachusetts, we have one about car repair, and we have another one about the voting system and how it works with like round robin type of tournament that they're going to do. So get educated on that. You have the weekend to study it. And Brendan, this is a historic election coming up.
Very important one,
because we have probably the most votes ever going to be tallied into this election. I have the day off of work. I'm going to sit on the couch. This is my Super Bowl. I'm going to watch CNN, and I'm going to watch everything unfold. And no matter what side wins, I think it's going to be hell in America that night.
It's gonna be an interesting week for sure, to say the least, following Tuesday night's results.
In a week as well too, because things will start trickling in afterwards as well too.
Exactly.
I just want to say I studied political science in college. I minored in this. I actually don't know terms like the left wing, right wing, conservative, and all this bullshit. I'm just in the middle. Like
I would completely agree with you. I agree with points on both sides, but you can't really associate yourself with one or the other without someone coming at your neck.
I feel that way. And let me just tell you, Brendan, what are you laughing about over there? Got Michelle laughing at me in the background. The big thing for Donald Trump and the Republican Party was Florida, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. And Brendan, we don't have to spend time on politics, but I just look at coronavirus, and especially working in the healthcare world. It's so politically driven right now.
Right.
And I just feel that with the states that are open right now, it's going Republican. I mean, it's just that's the way I feel. I'm very interested in your Arizona over there.
I think it's a swing state.
I think it's a swing state. And in 2016, Clinton won it, and then we saw our good friend Mike out there at Trump's rally with 45,000 people.
God.
And to me, Brendan, it's astonishing to see. And then the Nelk boys were there too. And it's just crazy that we're in the middle of a pandemic, yet it's still bringing these humongous crowds.
Right.
And one side saying, open it up, and the other side saying, we need to watch out what the hell's going on, because this virus is still here and it's still deadly. So I think, Brandon, I will always say this, that we live in Arizona, so it's a different world. But even so, the Northeast, New York, even a little bit of New Jersey and all up there, and the West Coast, Cali, Oregon, Washington, are completely different worlds than the entire rest of this country.
Oh, I grew up there. I totally get it.
It's bananas. It's like light night and day. I love living up in New England, and people can say, "Oh, it's super liberal in Massachusetts, this and that." We're far better than a lot of other states out there. Trust me, I've done the traveling myself. You've done it yourself. You see the differences in the United States, and it's going to make an interesting Tuesday night. Whatever side comes out, and I'll say it this way. My vote in Massachusetts, it's Democrat, because that's what's going to end up being.
It's probably been blue the last 15 elections.
Since 1980. Ronald Reagan.
The last 100 years. Holy cow. Wow.
Ronald Reagan, 1980 was the last.
80.
1980.
Okay, I thought you said 18. I was thinking that's 100 years. It's
Ronald Reagan won almost by a landslide. I mean, he won by a landslide, but there was 2 or 3 states he didn't win. But that's 1980. Ronald Reagan at the time, who won California because he was from California. He won, Massachusetts. It was just such a different time in 1980 than what it is in 2020.
Right.
But hey, it's 40 years ago. History repeats itself. We'll see what happens.
Right.
We're on to 2024. I want to that's when things should really change in society, and we'll see what ends up happening there. But
It's gonna be a
I don't
different
know.
world 4 years from now. It's a long time.
Second final thought is Kanye West actually, I believe, came in second to Kentucky voting or something.
Oh,
Yeah, like
God.
3,000 votes. or
That's
something.
insane. That's ridiculous.
He's running in 2024, like a legitimate run too.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm just saying that. All right, Brendan, that's it. That's it for Boston's Big Three. We appreciate everyone who's been listening to us. Shoot us a DM if you want to be featured or come on, dude. We need a couple of special guests coming on here. If you listen to
Let's just start having listeners on.
we need to have
Why
listeners.
not?
Yeah, why not? Appreciate it. Much love out there. Go vote. Boston strong. Patriots gotta win this week. Please.